made us toe the line and set the bar really high to achieve at a very high level. But then you look back on it later on in your college career and then your teaching career and see that, hey, they really made a huge impact.
It is a segue to my understanding of what's your leadership style look like. It's been 29 years. So definitely it must have changed, and you must have pivoted some ways which didn't work, which worked. But if you talk today, what's the leadership style you're bringing to the Blue Ridge?
It doesn't come as natural to those student athletes. So takes a little bit of both. You got to really know how to.
But right now at the current economy, double income is not even an option anymore. It is mandatory. Welcome to TomoClub Podcast series. I'm Avinash Bansal, co-founder at TomoClub. And today on our discussion panel, we have the Superintendent of Blue Ridge Independent School District, Dr. Darrell Floyd. Welcome to the show, Darrell.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
Perfect. Today's topic is very interesting about the modern leadership challenges. And with your immense experience in education, I think you have a very unique vantage point on explaining what are the leadership challenges, specifically in the modern times you have seen as the time is progressing, as the problem statement is progressing. And what is your, I also read about the post like skills that you have. So we can definitely dig down in it. But first question I always ask my guest is, what got you into education in the first place? And is that reason still valid after so many years?
Okay, sure. Well, I have to say that I got off to a really good educational start in my hometown of Andrews, Texas, which is out in West Texas by Odessa, Midland, and went all the way through school there. And I had some tremendously successful and dedicated teachers that made an impact on my life. And as I think back on that time period, there really were three teachers and coaches that made an impact, a large enough impact on my life that it made me want to go into education and then later on into administration. My first grade teacher was one of those. Miss Cleta Garms was just an outstanding, very loving teacher. And I stayed in contact with her over the years. And fast forward to just last year, she ended up passing away, and her daughter asked me to speak at her funeral, and I was very honored to do that. So she got me off on the right foot. Then later on, I had a teacher coach in middle school that had a significant impact on me. And then in high school baseball coach the same way. And I saw what they were doing and felt like I wanted to do that and make an impact for students and parents and grandparents and community members. And that kind of led me to the path that I now have served for many, many years. This is my 29th year as superintendent of schools.
Wow. No, I think a lot of people out there have a similar emotion that it's those few teachers who made a landmark impact on their lives. But I have a theory. First of all, rest in peace, your educator. I really so happy that she set you on the right path. But coming to my point, I've realized that those same educators may not be loved by other students like you did, right? It's a two-way street. So you had been a great student, and maybe that's the reason they were great to you, or other way around. Um, so, and that's how I realized that being a good student doesn't guarantee that you'll be a good teacher.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I
how
kind
did
of
you
use
test
the
that out?
analogy. Yeah, and some of the teachers that were the hardest teachers on us, I look back now and see that they were some of the best teachers. A lot of students didn't like them because they were so strict and so rigid and made us toe the line and set the bar really high to achieve at a very high level. But then you look back on it later on in your college career and then your teaching career and see that, hey, they really made a huge impact in your life. And to your point, I see that a lot in coaches as well. Sometimes coaches have been really successful on the athletic field or on the court because it comes naturally to them. and that does not always make for a good teacher coach because they don't understand sometimes why student athletes don't pick it up as quickly as they did because it doesn't come as natural to those student athletes. So takes a little bit of both. You got to really know how to build a positive relationship with kids in order to get the very best out of them.
Right. No, absolutely. So I get it why you got into education, but is that reason still valid after so many years?
It is. I have been doing this a long time, and I still get up every morning thinking that very positive thoughts about how I can make a positive impact on not only the students in my district, but the faculty and staff and community members as well. And so, yes, very valid even today, even in my 29th year as superintendent.
Perfect. I'm glad it is still valid. Um, so that is a segue to my understanding of what's your leadership style look like. It's been 29 years, so definitely it must have changed, and you must have pivoted some ways which didn't work, which worked. But if you talk today, what's the leadership style you're bringing to the Blue Ridge?
Mm-hmm. All right, very good. I teach graduate classes adjunct for 4 different universities, and I tell those aspiring administrators all the time that um, leadership styles are not one way all the time. You can't be the instructional leader all the time. You can't be the good manager all the time. You have to be, in today's world, you have to be a good situational leader, meaning
Mhm.
that everything is not black and white. Every incident and every situation is not dealt with exactly the same way. As much as we like to have policies and procedures in place, we as leaders, regardless of whether it's on the campus or district-wide leadership, have to be good situational leaders, meaning that you gather all the information, you do the research necessary that you need to make an informed decision, and then make that decision and move on. And sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't. And good leaders know that sometimes if you make a mistake, you just have to say, "Hey, we made a mistake." Back up and try to rectify it and move on.
Mhm. No, I love that aspect. I think situational leadership is the very interesting key term here. Um, so, how has that come across in the modern challenges? Or let me reframe. What are the modern leadership challenges as per you?
I think there are several leadership challenges today that educational leaders have to address, and they need to reassess themselves in all of these areas to find out where the weakness areas are so they can shore those up in order to be the most effective leader that they can be. And I often use the term both with my folks here in my school district, but also as I teach the graduate classes for principal certification students and superintendent certification students and doctoral students, that there's an acronym called POSCE, and all this is research based. I won't bore you with that part today, but suffice it to say that it is. And each of these letters stands for a skill, ability, or attribute that highly successful administrators possess. And I encourage my folks to assess and reassess their own strengths and weaknesses in these areas so they can shore up the ones that need to be. So the acronym is POSCE, and that stands for planning, organizing, stimulating. You could insert the word motivating there, coordinating, and evaluating. Well, planning is planning for the here and now and intermediate and the long range, and making sure you do that effectively. Organizing is organizing not only you and what you have to get done at work, but also having the mental capacity to be able to do that with all of your home responsibilities as well. Stimulating or motivating is exactly what it says. We as leaders need to motivate our employees and our students so that we can set the bar high enough that it stretches them to achieve at levels they didn't even realize they could achieve themselves. Coordinating is juggling all of those balls in the air at the same time that we know administrators have to juggle. And if you're not a good time manager and very structured and organized, well, then something will fall through the cracks. And
Hmm.
so I just encourage folks to coordinate and evaluate is the last one, evaluating everything that happens on that campus or in that school district. Because ultimately, if you're a campus principal, everything that happens on that campus is your responsibility. And for me as a superintendent, ultimately, everything that happens in our school district falls as my responsibility. Now, we have a lot of folks that help with that, but it's my responsibility to coordinate all that and then to evaluate what is happening on a daily basis so that we can make some needed adjustments to better achieve.
Hmm. No, I love those 5 pointers. In fact, when you think about it, they look very natural. Like anybody who's going to break down any problem statement and look for a solution, that is a way to go. That you will think about, understand the problem, that will include planning, and then you'll organize, stimulate, coordinate, and evaluate. But as you rightly said, that we tend to skip some of the pointers sometimes because of a rush, because of the situation is like an emergency situation, or just simply we forget it. So, how do you ensure that this is more imbibed in a practical application and rather than just being a theoretical concept? Like, how does it actually become a living process
Mm-hmm.
in your school?
Well, one way we try to make it a living, breathing issue that we deal with and work on improving on a daily basis is they hear that a lot from me. And I think we as leaders have to continue to reiterate the non-negotiables that we have as leaders and the um, the the big ticket items that we want all of our leaders to be working on, and those that POSCE, it all falls into what we do on a daily basis, regardless of what our administrative position is. And so I think part of it is hearing that expectation from me as superintendent that we as leaders need to continue to sharpen our saw on all of those areas in planning, organizing, stimulating, coordinating, and evaluating. And then, like I said earlier, reassess ourselves and be honest with ourselves about where we need to shore up and work on improving, and then seek out someone that is really good in that area that you know you need to improve in. Start picking their brains and learn as much as you can from them about how they got good in that area, but also how they can hone their skills and improve their skills in that particular area.
Yeah. No, I love it. I think it always has to come from the leader, and you have absolutely said the right answer. It's about reiterating. So love that. Now I would love to know how this model actually starts to apply when when we take problem statements that you currently have. So the first thing that I was researching, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are projecting a double in size in like next 8 years.
Yes, that's what the demographers are projecting for us. Mm-hmm.
So if that's right, then what's the single hardest part of planning for such rapid growth?
Yes, we're in the northeast part of Collin County, kind of northeast of Plano in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And Collin County is one of the fastest growing counties in the nation. So that fast growth has already come to several school districts around us, Melissa and Princeton, and to some extent Farmersville, and it's coming to our school district next. So as you stated, the demographers study stipulated that we're going to double in size in the next 8 to 10 years. So this is my third year here in this district. So when I came, we very quickly started planning for that and created an ambassador academy where we brought a number of stakeholders together for several meetings. Let's see, it was started about this time last year. We started with one meeting per month for a group of folks that represented parents and community members and educators and administrators, and we would bring them together and show them the information from the demographer. We went all through the fall semester with that, and talked to them about growth patterns and the facilities that we had, and what we were going to have to do to accommodate that growth. Then that group kind of finalized a proposal to present to the school board in recommendation for a bond package for our bond election that we did in May. And that ended up being $59.4 million proposal that we put before the voters, and that passed at a rate of 69% in favor. So we were very pleased with that. I think a lot of the reason for that success is that we did a good job of involving stakeholders early on in the planning process. But then after the plan was put together, we also did a good job of informing our taxpayers and voters of exactly what was in the bond package and exactly what they could expect to happen in the next 3 to 5 years.
Wow. I was about to ask you about that. How do you develop confidence in that raising that bond? But I think you just answered that part. And congratulations on it. I think that's
Thank you.
brilliant. Um, but this is something that I really want to understand, that when you bring together stakeholders like parents, teachers, they're so worked up on their daily issues that it's sometimes very difficult to break that barrier and think about the future. Because whenever these town hall meetings or these stakeholder meetings happen, people ending up just discussing and debating their current issues. So how do you like coordinate such meetings that people like we are not going to talk about present problems, we're going to talk about future problems. So
Mhm.
how do you ensure that happens in these meetings?
Yeah, I think you have to have a clearly defined agenda of the topics that you want and need to get covered in that particular meeting. You set the expectations early on with all of the folks that are stakeholders in that meeting, and and share with them that it's not just a free for all. We're not just going to bring all of our gripes to this meeting. We're going to be organized about what we are trying to convey to them. And then we bring in experts also. We brought in demographers and architects and construction managers, and we tried to keep the focus on where we were headed in the future and what we were going to have to do in order to meet this fast growth that is coming our way. And then occasionally, the conversation would bird walk into, somebody griping about X, Y, and Z, and we were successful in being able to reel that in. And one way we do that is when we break up into small groups, we try to put a leader, one of our educational leaders, at each of those tables so that they can kind of reel them in if they need to.
Hmm. Okay. No, lovely. I think that's a way to go. And I know how hard it is. I've been talking to so many school leaders to to move the community in certain direction. So I think kudos to you. In 3 years, you could set it up, get this bond, and start preparing. Big, this huge deal. But one thing I was also reading about your district, and correct me again if my research is wrong, that it had a overall rating as C. So although I have my own thoughts on this accountability ratings, but I would love to know yours because though the rating is C, but you have 100% graduation rate, which is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about these accountability ratings? What do they miss about your school? Because your school is giving 100% graduation rate. So
Yeah, yeah. I'm not a proponent of the A through F rating system. I don't think it provides an accurate picture of what is happening in a school district because it is one test on one day that may or may not be accurate as to what is happening on a daily basis in a school district. Now, we barely missed out on a B rating in our school district, and we were really disappointed at that. But we have put plans and procedures in place to move that needle up, hopefully to B and then an A overall. But you're right, we have 100% graduation rate at our high school, and not every high school can boast of that
yeah.
especially in our area. And so we're very proud of that. And I think that speaks volumes about what we are providing on a daily basis, and making sure that we put forth our appropriate time, effort, energy, and money into providing opportunities for students to be successful. And I think we've done that in a number of different ways. And our students have achieved at local, state, and national levels that are really phenomenal. And so I'm I don't think any of that equates to a C rating. I think it is significantly higher than that because we have example after example of students that are achieving at extremely high levels that we're very proud of. And I think a lot goes into that. I think it's incumbent upon us to continue to develop a very positive culture and climate and keep the morale up of teachers and faculty and staff and students so that this idea of family and tradition continues in our school district even after that fast growth comes to us because as growth happens different things change some demographically and in facilities and kind of spreads your district out. So the leaders have to work hard on continuing to develop and enhance that culture, climate, and morale.
No, I agree with you. I think consistency will be like very like intensely tested during the growth phase, and only processes can ensure that things can still function the way they are supposed to. So, but I really, it boggles my mind. Like I think with my data set of at least 120, superintendents, I think I haven't met a single one who says that they agreed to the A to G rating system. And I'm like, I haven't found a single promoter of it. Then why is it still happening? Because what happens is, because you are going to be measured on that scale, your efforts, your investments, your focus, even if you like it or not like it, goes in that direction. And
Mhm.
it tends to reduce the focus on the overall factors. So I think if somebody asks me what's the biggest thing that needs to be deprecated, is this, because literally nobody is supporting it anymore.
Not only that, but nobody can explain it anymore. It is so convoluted that you cannot sit down and explain the A through F rating system to a parent in a manner that is coherent. And legislators can't do it. The Texas Education Agency folks can't do it. We can't do it. And if we can't explain a system that makes sense to parents, we don't need that system.
Yeah. And I think your funding is also correlated to that system, right?
Do what?
The funding per student is also correlated to the same system, right?
Loosely, yeah. It's not one for one, but the funding system really is a bit separate and apart from the A through F rating system.
Okay. No, because I did read about it that it's a proper, again, it's a very complicated formula, but again, it includes attendance, academic ratings, reading levels, behavior
Yep.
issues, and multiple other factors.
Percentage of economically disadvantaged students, you get more heavily weighted funding for the increased percentage of economically disadvantaged students you have as well. Mhm.
Yeah. So, since you guys have a demographers who have given you an idea, so what's going to be like? Because right now I was reading that there 50% of your students are coming from economically disadvantaged group. So is that number going to go up or going to go down? What is the change in demographic you guys are anticipating?
Yeah, I anticipate that as we double in size, that number will continue to increase. It depends on how many folks move to this area, and there are other factors that create focal points on that. One is the type of houses that are being built, the new houses are being built, and what the income level of the buyer has to be to buy those houses. And so right now we have 5,000 homes that are either started or planned to be built in our school district. And currently the price range of those houses are anywhere from 300 to $500,000. So I think that is going to determine to some extent whether that economic disadvantage population continues to level off or increase.
Yeah, seems like it's gonna go down, the proportional wise, but
Maybe.
yeah. Um, so also another important leadership challenge that I am witnessing talking to school leaders is teacher retention. Um, that it's hard to attract talent and even more hard to keep them within the school system. So how are you dealing with it? First of all, do you have that problem right now? And if yes, then how are you dealing with it?
We haven't had as much difficulty with that as some larger districts have because, we might only have one section, one art teacher, for instance, due to our size right now, but as we grow, that'll be different. But as far as encouraging folks to come to our school district in the way of recruitment and retention, we have worked diligently on that because the good teachers that we want to keep. And one way we have worked in doing that is to start going down the pathway of the TIA program, Teacher Incentive Allotment Program, that rewards teachers that are doing an excellent job in um, moving students from where they are to where they uh, want them to be to succeed at high levels. And that student growth is what that TIA, Teacher Incentive Allotment evaluation system, is predicated on. So as teachers are moving students toward even greater success, well, then they can get rewarded with significant dollar amounts over a 5-year period. And so theoretically, we might have teachers eventually making $100,000 salaries if they are master teachers, just knocking the top out of it.
Okay, that's incredible. I think that's a big incentive structure there for any teacher, and specifically now with this incoming new population. That thing that can get you more talent who will be excited to work. So yeah, I think that's very well taken care of. Um,
Yeah, and it makes a significant impact for that teacher and their retirement too, because they keep increasing their salary over a 5-year period, and that 5-year average goes into their overall calculation of the teacher retirement system.
no, I agree with you. In fact, I was discussing with the school leader, and I told them that uh, not being patriarchal here, or but the way educators were mostly females because their contribution to running a house was not that significant, but right now at the current economy, double income is not even an option anymore. It is mandatory in a way.
Mm,
So
yep.
that's one of the reasons that earlier, if the whether it's any partner, one of the partners was working in a school, they were doing it out of passion. They were doing out of respect in the society that they get it and the love for the kids. But now, since they can't sustain, it has to become more economically viable too. And so earlier, if they were fine working for 25 grand or 35 grand a year, it cannot work right now. Um,
Mm.
so that's one of the inflation is another reason for the 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 passion. It's not a passion economy anymore. It has to be more serious money making option for the careers.
Yeah, and I think this program will definitely enhance that for teachers, and it at least gives them an opportunity if they are highly successful to achieve even higher salary ranges.
Right. Uh, Again, any discussion right now cannot be done without discussing about AI. So, what has been your current stand on it? What's going on in your school?
Well, I think when it first started, people were very standoffish about it because they thought that it might be an opportunity for students to cheat, for lack of a better term. But with the proliferation of AI as we have seen it emerge today, I think it is an absolute necessity that we are going to have to embrace AI and how it fits into our leadership framework and our all of the planning and organizing that we do on a daily basis. And teachers and administrators need to get over that idea that we can push back against that, but because we can't, it's going to affect every aspect of our lives, and it already is. And that being the case, then we need to embrace it and figure out ways that we can utilize AI to enhance our teaching abilities for students, and then show them how to properly utilize AI techniques in order to put out the best product that they can, because they're going to be continuing to do that the rest of their lives, whether they go to college or not.
Hmm. No, absolutely. I support those ideas, and thank you for bringing that open-mindedness about it. So the first thing that always comes with it, as you said, are reservations. So how does your leadership framework of planning, organizing, stimulating, coordinating, and evaluating, how is that framework fitting into making teachers comfortable with AI?
I think that it relates to another initiative that we have called the three R's: rigor, relevance, and relationships. And that rigor piece is setting that bar high enough that it stretches students to achieve at levels they didn't even realize they could achieve themselves. The relevance piece is answering that age-old question: why do I need to learn this, and how am I ever going to use it later on? Well, that's our job as educators to answer those questions. And then the most important of those three R's, in my estimation, is the relationship piece. And that is developing a very positive adult student relationship so that every student on that campus knows that one or more adults on that campus are taking a keen interest in them and what is happening in their lives, and trying to set them up for the best chance of success possible. So I strongly emphasize that relationship piece, because the old adage about they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care is so true. Once they know that you truly care about them, and then they'll run through a brick wall for you and do whatever you ask them to do. So that's aspect number one, is developing very positive relationship with kids. And then it's easier for us to start educating them about how to most effectively utilize AI. Now, I could use that same analogy with us as in dealing with our leaders throughout the school district. It's incumbent upon us to develop that very positive relationship with our administrators, but it's also incumbent upon us to show them how they can utilize AI techniques to enhance their job on a daily basis. And so that's what we're trying to do.
Makes sense. So did you guys do any professional development around that?
We do. We do. We've been doing more and more of that, and it will continue as we've got a professional development day coming up next week, as a matter of fact, and AI will fit right into that.
So was like in-house developed, or do you guys had any experts coming in for that?
We are handling this one on our own. It's in-house, so we have a full day of professional development where the students don't come. I believe that's October the 7th. And we'll have a full day of professional development for teachers, and some of that will be AI instruction, and we'll be doing that instruction ourselves in-house.
Perfect. And that's amazing. All the best for that. And I'm pretty sure it's going to go well. So we did cover a lot of aspects. Any particular thought around the leadership challenges that you want to share, which might be helpful for other school leaders?
I guess the last thing I would share would be I mentioned the three R's that we focus on. We also focus on the four C's of 21st century learning, and that being communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking skills. And as we see it, those are the skills, abilities, and attributes that we know we want our own kids to possess before they leave at graduation time. And so if we want that for our own kids, we should want that for every student that comes through our hallways. And so we try to focus on ensuring that students have plenty of opportunities to collaborate effectively, communicate effectively, have great critical thinking skills, and then enhance their creative abilities as well, and give them plenty of opportunities to plan in those areas, to model in those areas, to get constructive criticism and feedback in those areas, and then make adjustments and do that whole learning cycle over and over and over again, so that when they do leave our hallways at graduation time, they are better prepared in all four of those C areas, regardless of whether they're going directly into the workforce or into college or into some career tech field.
Love that. Love that point as well. And I'm sure school leaders who are listening to this will definitely be taking away some relevant point for themselves. So thank you so much, Darrell, for giving our time. And this has been really fantastic.
All right. I've enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Perfect.
Thanks for tuning in. For more information about TomoClub, visit TomoClub or follow us on our socials. Stay curious, keep learning,